The delivery scooter idled on a quiet street. Kotaro Sato was about to hand over a package when the smell hit him. That's not cooking smoke. Something's burning. Without a second thought, Kotaro abandoned his scooter and sprinted into the old apartment block. The stairwell was already filling with thick, acrid smoke. On the third floor, a door was hot to the touch. Kotaro kicked it open, splinters flying. Inside, flames crawled up the curtains. An elderly woman in a fine kimono lay motionless, overtaken by smoke. She's still breathing. I have to get her out. Down 4 flights he carried her, stumbling into the cool night air. Paramedics were already shouting, red lights flashing in the dark. Before anyone could ask his name, Kotaro faded into the back alley. He didn't wait for thanks. Back in his cramped apartment, he collapsed onto the futon, the smell of smoke still clinging to his hoodie. No one knew what he had done.
Grandma, I'm sorry I'm late. I'll visit first thing tomorrow.
Morning came. Kotaro sat beside Setsuko's hospital bed, her hand in his. The soot was washed away, but the exhaustion never left.
Kotaro, you look so tired. Are you still working those late shifts?
I'm fine, Grandma. Don't worry about me. I'll get a couple hours of sleep tonight.
The doctor appeared, pulling Kotaro into the hallway. A new treatment was needed, but the price would crush him.
Another 15,000 yen a month. Where am I going to find that?
What did the doctor say, Kotaro? Is it more medicine?
Just routine updates, Grandma. He said you're doing great now. Please rest.
Kotaro climbed onto his scooter. A cold rain needled his skin as he sped toward his next delivery.
If I pick up extra shifts, maybe I can cover it. I won't let her down.
But the bills kept coming, a relentless tide, and Kotaro's small sacrifices were swallowed whole. A year ago, he had made a quiet decision. No matter what, he would keep his grandmother alive.
This delivery job, it's enough to cover the basics. I'll take extra shifts.
Now, exactly 1 year after that fateful fire, the same scooter carried him through the same dark streets.
A whole year, and I'm still just scraping by. Did saving that woman even matter?
Back in his room, the pile of envelopes on his table had only grown thicker. Final notices, stamped in red.
Even if I don't eat tomorrow, this won't be enough. What else can I sell?
The television murmured in the background, a news story about the Hayashi family's new charitable wing. He didn't listen. He went out again, the rain now mixed with sleet. His hands were so cold he could barely grip the throttle.
Just one more delivery, then I can visit Grandma. Stay awake, stay awake.
But when he finally returned home, a new envelope waited, not a bill but a notice from the hospital. Setsuko's condition had worsened. At the hospital, the attending physician stopped Kotaro in the corridor, a chart clutched to his chest. He ushered Kotaro into his office. The door clicked shut, and the doctor's face was heavier than usual. He pointed at the lab results. Her kidneys are failing. If we don't move her to a specialized unit, the next infection could be fatal.
A specialized unit. That's twice what we pay now. I'm barely covering the current bills.
The doctor laid out the cost, 120,000 yen a month. Kotaro's hands went still.
Do it. I'll find a way. Just, please save her.
Within the hour, Kotaro was back on his scooter, rain soaking through his jacket. A new shift was waiting.
I'll take every extra run they'll give me. I can't afford sleep.
A week later, he collapsed into the chair beside Setsuko's bed, fighting to keep his eyes open.
Kotaro, you're thinner than me now. Promise me you're eating. Promise me.
During a brief break, Kotaro slumped in the delivery office, a cup of cold machine coffee in his hands. A few feet away, 2 coworkers whispered over a news article, their voices carrying despite the hum of the drink machine. One of them angled a phone screen, a grainy CCTV capture of a hooded figure carrying a woman through smoke. The other coworker whistled low. Hayashi family's offering a reward. Whoever pulled their matriarch out of that fire is set for life.
That's me. That dark alley. I remember. They're still looking.
The words landed like a trap door. A reward, enough to pay every bill, pulls Setsuko from the brink and breathe again.
But what if they think I broke in? Or blame me for the fire? I can't go to prison. Grandma has no one else.
One coworker chuckled. Probably some punk too scared to come forward. Kotaro's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. He dumped the coffee, pulled his hood up, and slipped out toward the dock. His deliveries were waiting.
Let them search. I'll carry this alone, like always.
After a double shift, Kotaro climbed the hospital stairs to find Setsuko's room empty, the bed stripped. A chill spread through his chest. A nurse pointed toward the ICU glass. Kotaro pressed his palm against it, watching the heart monitor flash.
This morning, she smiled. How did she crash so fast? I can't lose her.
A doctor emerged. Seisuko was stable, but the specialized care had to start. The first month's payment was due by morning.
120,000 yen. I have 6,000. There's only one thing left.
He rode the scooter one last time, pulling into a used bike yard. The owner appraised it with a cold eye. Kotaro named the payment he needed. The owner thumbed a stack of bills onto the counter, far less than the scooter was worth.
It's not enough, but it'll keep her alive one more month. That's all that counts.
At the billing office, he forced every last yen through the bronze slot. The receipt was lighter than any package he had ever carried.
No more deliveries. No more scooter. But she's still breathing. I'll find another way. Somehow.
Kotaro traded his delivery jacket for a janitor's uniform, his new night shift inside a private hospital far beyond his means. Pushing his mop, he noticed a bronze plaque. Hayashi Family Private Wing.
Hayashi? Like the news? The woman No, it can't be.
He crept toward an adjoining atrium and froze. An elderly woman in a navy kimono sat in a wheelchair, smiling. Beside her, a young man in a black suit smoothed the blanket over her knees. Tetsuya Hayashi.
She's alive after all this time, and that's her grandson. If they see me, they'll ask questions. I need to hide.
He ducked into a supply closet, breathing hard. The footsteps outside passed without slowing. For the rest of the shift, he avoided that wing, scrubbing floors with his head down. When he finally came home, the landlady stood at his door, demanding the overdue rent. Her patience had run dry. In the hospital break room, Kotaro peeled off his gloves. A coworker scrolled through news on his phone and froze. The coworker shoved the phone in front of Kotaro, the grainy CCTV photo of a hooded rescuer. Sato, check it out. Could be your twin.
Not again. That photo is going to haunt me everywhere I go. That's not me. I wasn't even in that part of town. You know I'm always here, or at my grandma's.
The coworker shrugged, but his eyes dropped to Kotaro's gray hoodie, the one still carrying a faint stain from the fire.
He doesn't believe me. I need to get out of here before he asks more.
Kotaro grabbed his bag and stood. He could feel the coworker's stare following him all the way to the door. Outside, the night streets felt narrower. Every shadow seemed to lean toward him, waiting to pin him down.
If one person recognizes me, the whole hospital will talk. I can't lose another job. Grandma won't survive.
He resolved to dodge every question, keep his head lower than ever. But the net was tightening around him, weeks blurred. Setsuko returned to a regular ward, but her recovery required intense therapy, 3 sessions a week. More bills appeared in his mailbox. The rent notice now read final. The therapy invoice dwarfed his entire monthly pay.
I sold my scooter, my spare clothes. There isn't a single thing left to pawn.
The landlady blocked his way in the stairwell. 1 week, then I will change the locks. Her face held no pity.
If I lose this room, how can I get to work? Grandma will have nowhere to go.
He walked outside. The night sky held no stars, and his pocket held a single 10-yen coin.
10 yen. Not enough for rice, but I promised her I would eat. I cannot break that promise.
Setsuko slept peacefully as the therapy machine beeped. Each sound was a debt he could not pay.
My gray hoodie. If I sell it, I will freeze, but it is the last thing I own worth anything.
He slumped against the wall. The deadlines were not weeks away. They were hours, and his pockets were empty. The next morning, Kotaro opened his door to leave. A thick envelope lay on the mat. No address, no name. He tore it open. Neatly banded stacks of yen, more than he had seen in months.
Who would? No one knows I'm here. No one except the landlady and the hospital.
He counted the bills. It was exactly the amount needed to cover his rent in Setsuko's next therapy block.
This isn't a mistake. Someone knows. But why leave it? Why not ask?
He stood frozen, the cash heavy in his hand. The urge to return it fought against the image of Setsuko's empty bed. That afternoon, the landlady counted the rent money with narrowed eyes, but she took it. The eviction was paused. At the hospital, the billing clerk stamped his receipt. Setsuko's therapy would continue another month.
I used it. I can't even ask who to thank. If it was a test, I failed.
He sat on his futon, the empty envelope on the table. Relief and shame twisted in his chest, side by side. Kotaro returned to the night shift, steering clear of the Hayashi wing, but an uneasy need kept dragging him back toward it. Through the glass, he saw Kikwe in her wheelchair, her head tilted in laughter. Tetsuya stood beside her, straightening a vase of flowers.
That's her grandson. He comes every evening. She's so full of life now, almost like nothing happened.
Kikui gestured with both hands, recounting some story. Her movements were strong, her color vibrant. She had fully recovered.
If I step forward now, she'll know me. One word, and this hiding ends. Grandma Setsuko could have more than scraps.
He pushed the door a fraction. Tetsuya's head began to turn. Kotaro yanked his hand back and hid behind the frame.
What am I doing? I can't just walk in. Not yet. I need to think. I need to be sure.
He retreated down the long corridor, his footsteps the only sound. The moment had come and he had let it slip.
Another time. Maybe. But every time I get close, I freeze. This gratitude I can't ask for. It's too heavy.
He scrubbed the floors with numb hands, the empty envelope at home a ghost. The missed chance clung tighter than smoke. The next morning, a yellow eviction notice was taped to his door. He read the crudely stamped words, "Vacate in 48 hours." The current rent remained unpaid.
The envelope money only stopped last month. This month I'm still at zero.
At the hospital, Setsuko had an oxygen tube. Her breaths came in shallow pulls. The doctor spoke of a stronger antibiotic, another bill Kotaro could not shoulder.
If I'm homeless, I can't even care for her. There's no path left.
He held her hand. The skin was thin and cool, her pulse barely a whisper.
Kotaro, your eyes are so far away. Please, share the burden with me.
I'm just tired, Grandma. We'll be fine. We always are.
But the eviction notice burned in his pocket, and his phone lit up again. Hospital billing. Late that night, Kotaro walked home from the hospital. A block away, a dark shape caught the street lamp. It was a black sedan, its paint swallowing light. No plates, no driver visible.
That kind of car doesn't belong in this neighborhood. It's too perfect.
The sedan didn't move. Its engine was silent, the windows tinted black.
Is that them? The Hayashi family? Or someone who knows about the envelope?
He pulled his hood lower and walked past his own building, as if heading somewhere else.
If I go inside, they'll see which apartment is mine. I can't risk it.
But after 20 freezing minutes, no door had opened. The sedan was just a metal ghost.
Stop inventing dangers. There's no one. Just go.
He darted up the stairwell, locked his door, and pressed his back against it, lungs burning. Morning broke hard and gray. A knock, precise as clockwork, startled Kotaro from a shallow sleep. He opened the door to a black three-piece suit. Tetsuya Hayashi, calm and unreadable.
The grandson from the hospital. He tracked me down. Was it the envelope? Or the fire?
Kotaro Sato, my grandmother has been looking for you. Please, get in the car.
Looking for me? Does she think I caused the fire? If I run, they'll find me. If I go, what then?
Kotaro nodded, wordless. He stepped outside, and Tetsuya led him to the black sedan with the tinted windows.
It won't take long. But it's important you come.
The door shut with a heavy click. The sedan glided away from the curb, taking Kotaro from his world.
My eviction. Grandma's oxygen. If something happens to me, who will pay her bills?
The sedan carried him through unknown streets, toward a meeting that had waited an entire year.
The leather seats. The silence. This car cost more than I'd make in 10 years.
Tetsuya sat motionless, his gaze fixed ahead. Not a word since the door had shut.
Is this a trap? Should I open the door? No, that'll just make things worse.
The car turned onto a boulevard shaded by cherry trees. The buildings grew taller, cleaner.
We're not going to a police station, this part of town. Only the wealthy come here.
They stopped before a glass building wrapped in gardens. A private entrance bore the Hayashi crest.
This way. She's been waiting.
The lobby was polished marble. A fish tank as tall as 3 men hummed silently.
She's been waiting. It's not the police. But then, what does she want?
Tetsuya pressed an elevator button. Kotaro followed, his heartbeat counting floors. The elevator opened onto a silent corridor lined with fresh flowers. Tetsuya stopped at a room with a nameplate, Kikwe Hayashi. He pushed the door open. Kotaro stepped inside and froze. An elderly woman in a navy kimono sat in a plush armchair, hands folded, a gentle smile on her face.
That's her, the woman I pulled from the smoke. She looks completely alive.
Kotaro Sato, please, come closer. I have waited so long to thank you in person.
Grandmother searched for you every day this year. The police recovered a camera angle finally, one that showed your face in the alley.
You carried me down 4 flights. You stayed until the ambulance came. You saved my life.
It was just instinct. I never expected this.
Kikui's voice cracked slightly. She still remembered the smoke, the fear, and the strong arms that didn't let go.
I'm just glad you're okay. I didn't do anything special.
But Tetsuya's eyes were steady. He had not brought Kotaro here only for thanks. Tetsuya opened his briefcase and withdrew a thick cream envelope. He held it with both hands, bowing slightly.
Kotaro Sato, we found the CCTV footage. We traced your employment records. A full year, but we never stopped searching.
He opened the envelope and positioned a document on the low table, a guarantee for Setsuko's lifetime care in the Hayashi private wing. Then a second document, fully funded education and a guaranteed position in the Hayashi Foundation.
And this, you carry my seat at every family table. We adopt you as an honorary grandson, no conditions.
Lifetime care? Education? They're offering me a family. This can't be real.
The money under your door was a test. You used it for your grandmother, not yourself. That told us everything.
They knew? All this time, they were watching.
The envelope was placed in Kotaro's hands. He could feel the weight of every sleepless night, every skipped meal. Inside were contracts, promises, a new life. Kotaro's voice caught, and for a long minute, he could not speak.
This is too much. I only did what anyone would. I don't deserve any of this.
But you did do it. Because of you, I saw my grandson marry. I held my great-grandchild. Those years are your gift.
Great-grandchild? Then. It really was a full life she got back. But can I take this?
That envelope we left was a test, but also a bridge. We wanted to see what you'd do. You passed long ago.
That money. I felt so guilty. But it kept Grandma alive. Was it really just a test?
Kiku's fingers gently wrapped around his. You risked your life for a stranger. That is not instinct. That is a soul we want in our family.
But I hid. I ran away. I even thought about taking more and running. I'm not the hero you think.
A man who fights that hard for his own grandmother could never be selfish. Please, let this be the end of your running.
The end of my running. Can I really stop? She's offering me a home.
The envelope lay open in his lap, and Kotaro's shoulders began to shake. But he hadn't yet said yes. The sobs broke free at last. Kotaro pressed his palms against his eyes, but the tears came anyway, hot and unstoppable.
Yes, I accept. Please, take care of my grandmother. I don't know how to thank you.
She's already in our care, Kotaro. Tetsuya, make the call. Move her to the private wing now.
Tetsuya's phone flashed. He spoke 3 quiet sentences, and the machinery of the Hayashi family began to turn.
Grandma Setsuko in this private wing. No more bills, no more fear.
You are family now. Call me grandmother, and when you're ready, there is a place for you at our table.
Kotaro bowed until his forehead touched the cool floor. The envelope, still unopened, was clutched to his chest.
She will be transferred this afternoon. You can be with her by evening. Welcome home, Kotaro.
Kotaro's shoulders shuddered one last time. He had said yes, and the impossible had begun. By evening, Kotaro stood in a room with a garden view. Fresh flowers filled the vases. Setsuko's name was on the doorplate.
Kotaro, this is real? The nurse said my treatments are all covered. No more bills?
It's real, Grandma. And there's a story I should have told you a year ago.
He told her of the smoke, the kick-down door, the woman in the kimono. He told her of the back alley and the year of silence.
You carried a stranger down 4 flights? In the middle of a fire? Oh, my brave boy. I always knew you had a hero's heart. I'm so proud I could burst.
She pulled him into a hug, her arms stronger than they'd been in months. Kotaro closed his eyes and finally stopped shaking.
No more eviction notices. No more selling everything I own. We're going to be okay.
Tell me about the family who did this. The Hayashis. I want to meet them.
Kotaro smiled, a real smile, the first in over a year. And for the first time, he spoke of the future, not the past. Weeks later, Kotaro sat in a library piled with textbooks. The Hayashi Foundation had enrolled him in a business management course.
The material is hard. I never finished high school, but I won't waste this chance.
Every Sunday, he visited grandmother Kikue. Their bond deepened over tea and quiet talks in her private garden.
You look tired, Kotaro. Are you sleeping enough? Tell me about your classes.
The teachers are patient. I'm catching up. And Setsuko asks about you every day.
Good. She'll join us next week for tea. I've asked the nurses to bring her to the garden.
She's already treating Grandma like family, like she's always been here.
Kikue handed him a small book, her late husband's journal. She said it held lessons not taught in any classroom.
This is more than a scholarship. I'm building a new family, 1 page at a time.
Years of study ended under the cherry blossoms. Kotaro walked across the stage, diploma in hand, with honors.
I was a delivery boy with nothing. Now I have a degree they said I couldn't earn.
After the ceremony, Tetsuya approached in a crisp charcoal suit. He held a simple envelope, much thinner than the last one.
Kotaro Sato, the Foundation needs people who understand what it means to lose everything. Will you join us?
A job offer? Not a handout this time, a place to work, to pay it forward. I was hoping you'd ask. I want to help others like your grandmother helped us. Count me in.
Tetsuya's eyes crinkled, the closest he came to a smile, and he motioned for Kotaro to follow.
You'll start in the outreach department, but I expect you'll rise quickly. You've proven your resilience.
Outreach. I can start from the bottom again, but this time I won't be alone.
The glass doors of the Hayashi Foundation swung open before Kotaro. A new chapter, built on ashes, was beginning. Months into the job, Kotaro stood before the boardroom, a clicker in hand. Behind him, a slide of old apartment buildings.
Every year, old buildings burn. People die because of missing fire exits.
What are you proposing, Sato?
A retrofit fund. The foundation pays to install sprinklers, alarms, fire doors, teach owners to protect their tenants.
Tetsuya leaned back, fingers steepled. The projector light flickered across his face.
The costs could be immense. How do we know the landlords won't just pocket the upgrades?
We make it a matching grant. They pay half, Education program ties into the funding. I've already spoken to 3 ward councils.
He tapped a graph on the screen. The numbers were tight but solid. Kotaro had done the math for every building he once delivered to.
Proceed. Draw up a pilot for the Higashi district. You'll oversee it personally.
In the Higashi district, Kotaro faced a landlord with arms crossed. This will cost me money. Why should I care?
He doesn't see the danger. I need to make him see it.
Kotaro called a community meeting in the building's common room, the benches filled with wary tenants and reluctant owners.
A year ago, I carried a grandmother out of a fire. No money, no reward, just instinct. We can prevent that here.
The room went quiet. A landlord who had been crossing his arms slowly uncrossed them. By the end of the evening, 3 landlords signed the matching grant agreement. The first forms were filled. Within weeks, construction crews arrived. The first old building hummed with drills and the promise of safety.
Sprinklers, alarms, something I could never have afforded. Now it's real.
An elderly tenant stopped him in the hallway. She bowed deeply and clutched his arm.
This is where it starts. Every building, every life.
Late one night, a fat fire sparked in the Higashi building. Curtains caught, black smoke rolled down the hallway, but the new sprinklers burst to life. Water rained in a steady curtain, choking the fire before it could spread.
20 heartbeats. That's all it took. The system we installed just saved an entire floor.
By morning, the news networks ran the headline, "Old building, new sprinklers save a dozen families."
A dozen families. Children, grandparents. We changed the outcome.
Residents gathered outside, faces streaked with relief, pointing at the sprinkler heads as if they were heroes. An elderly woman found Kotaro. She clutched his sleeve and bowed deeply, saying nothing.
This is what I couldn't see a year ago. A single act can echo into 100.
The fire chief shook his hand. The council drafted a letter. Kotaro's name was no longer unknown. In the Foundation's executive suite, Tetsuya called Kotaro to his desk. A framed certificate lay face down.
Sato, the board approved a new department, Emergency Response. You will head it. It's yours to build.
Emergency response. More than fire safety. He's trusting me with entire communities.
Tetsuya slid the framed certificate across the mahogany surface. The title gleamed under the lights.
I'll honor this, Tetsuya. For every old building, for every family that's still breathing because of what we do.
That evening, Kotaro visited Setsuko. She was no longer in bed. A walker stood beside her. With a walker and a nurse's gentle hand, she took her first steps in months. Her face glowed with effort and joy.
Look, Kotaro, my legs remember. I'll dance at your wedding yet. You just wait.
Her laugh. I almost forgot what it sounded like. This is what I fought for. Not a title, but her walking toward me.
He sat beside her, the certificate in his bag, and held her hand. The pieces were finally fitting. A tanker truck exploded near the riverfront. The blast wave shattered windows across a kilometer. 50 homes ignited.
This isn't a small apartment fire. It's a whole district. We need every resource now.
At the emergency command post, Kotaro spread a city map. Red markers blipped, each one a retrofitted building.
The retrofitted buildings can serve as evacuation zones. Our generators are already there.
Kotaro dispatched Foundation volunteers to guide residents. Firefighters pinned the blaze against containment lines.
Send all available oxygen to the schools. We can house twice as many there.
By dawn, the fire was under control. No fatalities. The retrofitted buildings had sheltered over 200 people. The fire commissioner, a gruff man with a smoke-streaked face, clasped Kotaro's shoulder.
He said the city owes me. But the truth is, I owe all of them, the families who trusted us.
A grand ballroom glowed with chandeliers. Kotaro straightened his tuxedo, heart hammering. In the front row sat 2 grandmothers, Kikwe in her wheelchair, Setsuko beside her with a walker.
They're both here. The one I saved, and the one I almost lost.
He looks so handsome, just like my own grandson would.
That's my boy. He carried you, and now he carries whole neighborhoods.
Ladies and gentlemen, the humanitarian award tonight goes to a man who once disappeared into an alley after saving my grandmother. He never asked for a reward, so we gave him one anyway. Kotaro Sato, my brother in everything but blood.
Kotaro walked to the stage, the applause a thunderous wave. He took the plaque, its weight solid and real.
A year ago, I was scrubbing floors. Now they're calling me a brother, all because I turned toward the smoke.
He found the front row. Kikue and Setsuko were both crying, but their smiles were brighter than the chandeliers.
This award belongs to them, to every grandmother who should never be left alone in the dark. Thank you.
Years later, a quiet funeral under a green hill. Setsuko Sato had passed in her sleep, a smile still on her face. She had danced at his wedding after all.
She saw me graduate. She saw the buildings rise. She held on until I was ready to stand alone.
Back in his office, Kotaro touched the framed photo of her on his desk. The one she had always hated, she said it made her look old.
But you were beautiful, Grandma. Every wrinkle was a year you gave me.
The Foundation's emergency arm had spread nationwide. Every day, a new building retrofitted, a new family safer. He poured his grief into every file.
Tetsuya told me to take time off, but she would want me right here, making sure no one else loses a grandmother too soon.
He signed the approval for the 1000th retrofit. Setsuko's name was engraved on the Foundation's memorial wall among the founders. At twilight, he visited her grave again. The white flowers had bloomed. A gentle breeze carried the city's distant hum.
I'll keep going, for you, for Kikue, for every family that deserves a chance to dance at a wedding.
In the Hayashi garden, the cherry trees had grown tall. Kotaro found Kikue in her wheelchair, a blanket over her lap, eyes closed.
Kotaro, come sit. I had them prepare your favorite tea. You look like you've been carrying the world again.
She's so thin now, but those eyes still see right through me.
They sat in silence, the breeze sending pink petals into their cups. Kikue's hand trembled as she lifted the teapot.
I heard about the warehouse retrofit. 2,000 now. Setsuko's name on so many buildings. You've built a legacy.
She always knows exactly what I need to hear.
The fire took my home and nearly my life, but it brought me you, Kotaro. You were the best thing that came from the smoke.
I was just a delivery boy. You gave me a purpose, a family. Thank you, grandmother.
Kiku squeezed his hand, her grip surprisingly strong. She did not speak, but her smile said everything.
I'll carry her words with me. Every new building will wear her blessing.
Kotaro walked up the familiar street. The old apartment building stood fresh with new paint, a bright sign reading Community Safety Center.
This is where it started. That night, the smoke, the kick-down door. Now it smells like fresh wood and books.
Inside, he traced his fingers over a bronze plaque on the wall, this center dedicated to the courage of Kotaro Sato. A woman approached with 2 small children. The boy bowed, and the girl handed him a drawing of a fire truck with a smiling stick figure.
Someone told them about me. They have no idea I was once just a delivery boy with 10 yen in my pocket.
The mother whispered, "Thank you. My husband would have been in that fire. You gave us back our world." Kotaro could only nod. The drawing trembled slightly in his hand. He had saved lives without even knowing their names.
Everything started because I turned toward the smoke and didn't turn back. Every life this center touches, it's all extensions of that single choice.
He folded the drawing into his pocket and walked into the light, the sound of children laughing echoing behind him. That evening, Kotaro climbed to the Foundation rooftop. The city below shimmered with a million windows.
All those lights, apartments, families, so many of them are safer now because of a single choice.
Footsteps clicked on the concrete. Tetsuya walked to the railing beside him, loosening his tie.
You used to disappear into alleys. Now you stand on rooftops. Quite the view, brother.
It's not the view I chased. It was always about the people inside those windows.
They stood in silence. The skyscrapers blinked their evening lights. The wind carried the distant sound of traffic and a child's laugh.
Grandmother says you were born for this. I agree. The Foundation will always have a place for you.
From delivery boy to director, from a 10 yen coin to this skyline, all because I didn't look away.
Kotaro placed a hand on Tetsuya's shoulder. They didn't need more words. The journey had said enough.
Tomorrow there will be more fires, more buildings, but tonight we stand together. That is enough.
The morning light filled his office. A hand-addressed envelope lay among the Foundation reports.
No official stamps, just a child's handwriting.
Mr. Sato, our family was asleep when the fire started, but the sprinklers woke us. We are all safe because of you.
Because of me, because of the retrofits. It's their story now.
He set the letter down and looked up at the wall. There, in a simple shadow box, hung his old gray hoodie.
This hoodie still smells like smoke, but now it hangs in a director's office.
He pinned the letter next to the frame, beside a child's drawing of a fire truck.
Every time I see this wall, I remember. It started with one door I didn't hesitate to kick down.
He sat back in his chair, the sunlight warm on his face, and for a moment, there was nothing left to carry. Late afternoon light filtered through the cherry trees. Kotaro entered the garden quietly, his footsteps soft on the moss. Kikue sat in her wheelchair, head tilted, eyes closed, a soft blanket over her lap. She had fallen asleep under the blossoms.
She looked so peaceful, like a blessing resting under the petals.
He knelt beside her and adjusted the edge of the blanket against the cool breeze. Her hand lay open on the blanket. Kotaro placed his own over it, light as a whisper, and closed his eyes.
Thank you, grandmother, for everything, for giving me more than I ever deserved.
Kikue did not stir, but the corner of her lips seemed to rise, as if in a dream she had heard.
She saved me a second time when she gave me a family. I'll never forget.
He stayed for a long moment, then rose and stepped back. The garden hummed with the quiet of early evening. He left the garden as quietly as he had come, carrying nothing but a heart full of gratitude. At the far end of the city where the concrete gave way to the sea, Kotaro stood on a wooden pier. The sun bled orange across the horizon.
A single act of kindness can ripple forever. Grandmother Kikue's words echoed in his memory.
The waves lapped below, steady and ancient. A salt breeze tousled his hair like a familiar hand.
She was right. One choice. One door kicked down in a smoky hallway. And here I am.
Behind him, the city shimmered with 100,000 safe lights. Before him, the endless sea stretched into peace.
I never fought for plaques or titles. I fought so that families could sleep without fear.
He closed his eyes. The sound of the ocean and the distant hum of the city blended into a lullaby. Across town, a firefighter checked a sprinkler valve. A grandmother tucked her grandson into bed. The ripples continued, and Kotaro Sato, once a delivery boy with 10 yen, stood at the water's edge and smiled.